I'm going to show you exactly how I was able to get a $14 million listing, the exact way I got it, how much time was spent, how many meetings I went on, every software, every script. Literally, I'm going to break it all down for you guys. I hope you enjoy this. This is one of my prized possessions, as it's one of the biggest deals that I've ever been a part of, and it was very tough to crack. All right, without further ado, sit down, grab a pen and paper, pay close attention. I'm going to break this down for you guys. Well, actually, before I break down how I got this listing, let's actually see the listing, dude, because this place is absolutely nuts. $14 million. You got just under 6,300 square feet. You got 6 bedrooms. You got 6.5 baths. You have, like, dude, everything top to bottom, the best of the best. The natural lighting is insane. Right over here, there's a TV that drops down automatically. Kitchen's insane. Marble, granite. Look at this. Indoor gym. Like, the staircase, that railing is $70,000. Super custom. Like, insane finishes. Closet, honestly, is one of my favorites. Just the lighting and the colors, the color scheme, incredible. All right, now let's get into how we achieved this. Okay, guys, it was 2023, September, I would say. I want to say it was a Sunday. I did not want to do anything, but I made myself a promise that I was going to cold call. That day, around 4 o'clock, I made a cold call. I was calling a community that I literally just picked out of random because I knew it was expensive. And the seller hit me with questions that I should have been more prepared for, and I wasn't. Full transparency. And he asked me, what do you think my property is worth? I'm like, honestly, I'd be doing you a disservice if I knew exactly what it was worth without seeing it, if I gave you a number. But I can tell you that you're anywhere from $500 or $800 a square foot. In this case, I said anywhere from $1,500 to $1,800 a square foot. He goes, you have no idea what you're talking about. I go, how can you expect me to give you a concrete number when I don't know what your home looks like? He goes, I put $2 million into my home. I go, see, I didn't know that. And I go, I'm just going to use John for an example. I'm like, John, let's do this because I know the area very, very well. I know people that live in the community. I'll be there tomorrow. I'll stop by for 15 minutes. I'll tell you exactly what it's worth. He said, I'm traveling this week, but next week call me. And I was like, all right, fine. But how I got it was a circle prospect. I cold called them. I said, hey, this is Anthony with Douglas Elliman. I go, I know this call is totally out of the blue. I'm calling about 123 Main Street. Do you still own that? Yes, I do. Okay, great. That was my first question. The second question is, there's so much demand in the area and there's not much inventory. I say all that to say, like, if you got the right number, would you entertain selling? And he said, maybe. I said, okay, perfect. He said, what do you think it's worth? We had that little exchange. And then now he is part of the follow-up process. So I added him to the CRM, Mojo, CRM. It was from a circle prospect. I'm going to put circle up here in the top. And then I made a reminder to call him in 7 days. In 7 days, he invited me over. I went over there and I brought all the comps. I did all the homework. I had all the data ready and we had a very good conversation. But it was, bring me a buyer if you have one. And I was like, oh my God, dude, like, why can it never just be a listing? Like, why can it? And he's like, I want 15 million. I'm like, it's not worth 15. It's worth 12. Like, it's worth like 13 max. This is 2 years ago. Thankfully, there's been some appreciation in the community over the last couple of years, but it's still not worth 15. But I said, look, let's just sell it, right? Like, why don't we sell it? No. So again, now I went from every 7 days to every 45 days. Remember, this is 1.5 years of follow-up. I went over there again, like, just to give him an update about 3 months later on what was going on in the community. So 1 meet, initial meeting. Second was update. The third thing, coincidentally, he invited me to a party. The fourth, I got a random call from him and he said, you know, come over. I want to show you something. I just did X, Y, and Z in my home. Sorry, guys, the handwriting's bad, but you guys know what I'm saying. Random. So the fourth time it was random. I'm like, okay. I'm furthering my relationship with this guy. He's calling me over. He's asking for my opinion. Then randomly, I found out he was like a former like Goldman Sachs partner. I'm like, dude, this guy's a whale. Like, this guy's a player. Like, this is my guy. And we just hit it off. Like, we were really cool. Like, I always wanted to, like, we would sit there and have good conversations. He would ask me about stuff. I'd ask him about stuff. And like, it was a cool relationship forming. And then as time kept going on and on and on, remember, this started, I want to say September or October of 23. It was probably last year where I had an agent who reached out to me and they said, I'm looking for a property in this area. I'm like, I have the property, but I need the listing. And I'm like, you know what? Let me try and show the property anyway. So I call my guy, I go, hey, I have somebody who wants to be in the community. Can I show the property? He said, yeah. I'm like, okay, perfect. So I went over there for the 5th time now. Now I actually have a showing. with another agent, and he was willing to pay 5%. I'm like, okay, cool. So here we go. Fifth attempt, I would say this is June of last year. I also, again, I'm calling him in between time. This is every time I've met him. How many calls that happened in between? I would say about every 45 days I would call him, and we spoke 80% of that time. So you guys do the math on over a year and a half and divide that by every 45 days. It was at least 12 or 15 times that we spoke. Then I found out he had another property that he entrusted me with to sell off market, and I actually had an offer on it, and the buyer fell through, but he really liked how I worked during that. So I demonstrated to him that I was the guy. Then he asked me to come over one more time for another party. Again, I'm telling you all the different sequences that happened. I met some other people in the community. I met the former mayor of Bell Harbor there. I actually interviewed him and did a podcast where you guys can check it out, Gabriel Groisman. Going back to the timeline here, I showed it in June. After he gave me the permission to come over and showing it again, I was like, dude, the next time I call him, I'm going to like pounce. I'm going to like push a little bit. I'm like, dude, look, if we got you 14 million or 2 or 3% close to it, would you sit down with me and actually entertain it? It was like really uncomfortable to say it. I was like really over the top. But if you don't ask, you don't get. And he said yes. So this is like, I don't know, I want to say August of 24. And that happened. The buyer didn't buy the property. He didn't want to list it. He was kind of reluctant, but he was getting closer. I could tell that his meter of like getting more closer to inking a deal, like getting more hot on the spectrum, was going from here from the beginning and starting to get warmer and warmer and warmer and warmer. So January 2025 comes around. He asked me to come over and reassess the property. I do. We're starting to get closer, right? We're having further conversations. We're having more in-depth conversations. And then in March, he hits me with something happened in his personal life that he said it makes sense for him to sell now. I said, okay, perfect. Let's sit down. We sit down. I pitch my soul out again. And then he hits me with this. Anthony, I want somebody who has sold 20 plus $10 million properties. I'm like, I don't have any $10 million properties sold, but I'm telling you that's every reason why you need to hire me. I have everything to gain. This is my whole lifeline, blah, 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 blah. The whole pitch. He's like, Anthony, no matter what you say, I'm not going to give it to you without you co-listing it with somebody. And I said, okay, fair enough. I don't care. 50% of a watermelon or 10% of a watermelon is better than 100% of a grape. So let's do this. I'm going to call 3 agents that you are going to interview that I like, but I want you to like them. We sat down. I did interview after interview after interview. And me and Alex Goldstein, who I really like, if you guys want to check out somebody who's just like does real estate totally different, wears all Lululemon to appointments, doesn't wear a suit and tie, drives in a Rolls Royce, and has a Richard Mille, and is like just the coolest guy ever. Go to his Instagram, Mr. Alex Goldstein. I met him at the gym. Buy another thing that I told you guys to do in previous videos. Go to an expensive gym so you can network with people. I learned a lot from him. I'm still learning from him, and we're doing a $14 million deal together. So with that being said, this timeline took at least 12 to 15 calls of follow-up. It took about, honestly, all in all, I want to say I met him like 10 times because I've showed it a couple times. I've also done some other stuff for him as well. But I also want to mention that there's a couple other things that I didn't really point out about what separated me from everybody else and how I earned his trust and how I got the value. So every 45 days, I would call with a market update. And I would say, hey, like, he was very, very engaged in the community. So I'd be like, hey, like 1, 2, 3 just listed, 1, 2, 2 just sold, like closed, active, whatever. And I would always give the price per square foot. And if he didn't answer my phone call, he would always text me and be like, hey, like I'm in a meeting, what's up? And I'd be like, hey, I just wanted to give you a little market update. Here's the link. And I would get the One Home Portal link sent to him and I would just drop it off. Now, I don't want you guys to think that I did anything different here because this is $14 million as opposed to anything else. I handled this the exact same way I would have, and I handle it the same way with everybody every time. Literally nothing changes with my approach. So I'm telling you, if you guys treat every deal the same and you use the methodology that I tell you guys to do about setting up an auto search about activity that's going on in the community, and you email it to yourself every day, and you give weekly reports or monthly reports depending on how hot or cold or interested the client is with circle prospecting leads, this is going to be your funnel. This is how you're going to get a deal like this and an opportunity like this. So without further ado, I'm going to sell the hell out of this thing. I'll tell you guys what I'm going to do to sell it, maybe in another video. If you guys want me to do another video on like my marketing approach and like the broker open house, whatever I'm going to do, please let me know. Fun fact, this community is where Neymar just bought. So I might go door knock Neymar, tell him to come on by. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next video. If you guys need any help growing your business, you want my scripts, you want my help, you want my guidance, there's no sense in trying to do this on your own when there's somebody that can help you get there and get you there a lot faster without any guesswork. I'll give you the exact roadmap, the exact scripts, everything you could possibly want. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram for the real sauce, and yeah, that's it. I'll see you.